"What are you thinking about?" Mrs. Martin asked her husband, noticing the distant look on his face. The setting sun gave the sky a soft glow. Cool breeze kissed their skin, reminding them of the spring just around the corner. Her voice, so serene, enveloped him with warmth. However, it did not banish the thoughts musing in his head. They both agreed to take a 2-week leave of their jobs to settle the dust their families raised around them. A baby. It was a typical request needed from every couple, regardless of their family planning. To amend this, her and her husband agreed to take some time off their work to talk more on the topic. Today was just the 3rd day of their mini vacation, and nothing had been brought yet to the table. Since they're leaving, before we continue with the story, do not forget to click on the notification button in order to get notified at every new video posted. Thank you. Since their leave began, watching the sunset from their balcony had become a routine. They had been sitting like this every night, neither one bold enough to bring the cards to the table. Well, it was just 3 days gone. They still had 11 days to straighten the creases, threatening to twist your newly married life. "I am not thinking," he responded. "I know that look. You do realize you're a terrible liar, right?" she probed. The questions only earned Martin's silence. "Come on, you can tell me," she insisted, leaning out of her rocking chair and slightly tugging his right sleeve. This was just like their honeymoon, except now she knew the right buttons to press to get him talking. Martin tore his gaze from the view ahead and looked at her straight in the eyes. "We've been married for 2 years and still no kids." That was not what she expected to hear. They had gone over this 1,000 times, and they agreed that Junior and his little sister will arrive 3 years later. "When do you think we can start making our own babies?" Martin asked. Surprise turned her face. "Babe, where's this coming from? We agreed to wait 3 years. It's only been 2 already. I thought we were over the same page." "We are," he said, and taking both of her hands in his. "Look," he continued, exasperated, "I have obligations to fulfill. You have too, and we are not getting any younger, Talia. Neither have we established our future children's legacy. What about the firm?" "For God's sake, Martin, look around," she said, gesturing and waving her hand about their surroundings. "We are just starting our lives, our future, our family. I mean, what's the rush?" "Darling, you know the issue I had with my father. I just don't want that for our kids. I want to be better. I want somebody to believe in me, to look up to me as a role model." "Baby, I do believe in you," she said, pulling his forehead to rest on hers. "I look at you and I see my hero. I look at you and I see my best friend, my love, my fireman." She smiles and gives him a small peck on his lips. "The father of my kids." Martin melts on his wife's actions. Talia whispers what would be her final endearment for that moment. "I know your dad and I know you. And you're nothing like him." "I know, sweetheart. It's all right. We'll be fine." That said, Talia poured out her heart in the hug she shared with her husband, wishing she could get closer than she already was. They say every woman's husband is her first son. True or not, all she wanted to do was reassure him that she was still seeing him like her knight in a shining armor. He was nothing like his father, and by God, he will be the best father ever. With that, the Martins did not know what fate had for them. Later that evening, the couple enjoyed a good time together, a good date out of the hotel room, good dinner, dancing under the stars, and they topped it off with great intimacy in their hotel room at the end of it all. Their blissful morning was rudely interrupted by a phone call. "Oh, sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation at the company." Martin's PA and best friend spoke over the voicemail. So much for 10 days of blissful left, Talia thought. That morning, the couple left the hotel room, both sad and happy. It's been 6 weeks since Martin and the wife returned from their mini vacation. Life had taken a funny turn. Most of Martin's investors were pulling out. Consumers' returns were getting despairingly low, and his debitors did not show any sign of paying up. Talia, on her side, was not being well. Seems the whole ordeal was taking a toll on her. "Baby, what's wrong?" he asked, barely dropping his car keys on the table. Talia handed him a piece of paper. Martin's eyes came through quickly, then rested on the final paragraph. "It says here that you are pregnant." He spoke it out, then realization dawned on him. "Oh my God, baby, we are pregnant!" he screamed. He carried her and turned around, celebrating. Her lack of enthusiasm, however, brought memories of their last talk on the baby issue. "What are you worried about?" "This is great news," he said, putting her on her feet. "Is it?" "This is not how I planned we would have our first child. Look at what's happening to your company. What are you going to focus on? The baby or getting the company back to its feet?" "Baby, you worry too much. Children are a blessing from God. And if He has decided us to have a baby at these trying times, then this is a sign that this child is a blessing from God in disguise." Difficult as it was to convince Talia, Martin mentally made it a point to resolve every issue at his company. This, he knew, would convince Talia. The next months that followed were filled with Martin's work at the office. Truly, little Daniel would be a blessing in disguise. Ever since reading Talia's medical report, he had worked extra hard and worked with springs under his socks, series of calls, investigation and replacement of some workers to finally let the company on its feet. It seemed as Talia's pregnancy grew, the company became better, bigger, and better investors took interest in Martin's company and began to invest. They say it is darkest before dawn. And the events those previous months proved just that to Martin. As far as family goes, the pressure of the baby had vanished. Ever since they spread the news, it had been wishes upon wishes and prayers upon prayers for them. Martin was on cloud 9. He had everything he ever hoped for: a beautiful pregnant wife, a successful business, and a family that loves and supports him. Gone were the frowns that came with worrying over the childless marriage. Present now was an always happy Martin and a glowing and heavily pregnant Talia. Life turned out for the best.